welcome back to the Lorna Whiston Schools podcast, the place where we connect with parents from around the globe and share our experiences on a variety of topics. We are a leading school and been based in Singapore for over 40 years. We specialize in developing a lifelong love for learning, and our focus is working with our parents to develop their children's 21st century skills, transforming them into the talented, critical thinkers of tomorrow. I am Paula Rawlins, your host, and I head the Business Development Department at Lorna Whiston Schools alongside our Special Projects Division. I am delighted to be talking with my friend and colleague, Matt Wong-Stewart from the Darren Stewart Football Academy based right here in Singapore. But just before we meet up with Matt, I would like to tell you that we teamed up with DSA over 6 months ago to bring our parents an opportunity to provide their children with an enriching experience which is team-focused, stimulating, and helps their physical well-being by working together in a team sport. So without further ado, good afternoon, Matt, and welcome to the Lorna Whiston Schools podcast.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me today.
Absolutely delighted. And we are so thrilled with the response that we have had from our last little campaign together. Our parents, I believe, have joined up with you, and some of your parents have joined up with us. So education in the classroom and on the pitch seem to go hand in hand, and everybody's enjoying themselves. I want to try and find out a little bit more about the Darren Stewart Academy. And I know that there's a great backstory to this. So if you would like to share that with our listeners, that would be fantastic.
I would love to. We are an international football academy that's located in Singapore, and we teach football based on the principles and teachings of Darren Stewart, who is my late father. He was the Australian Footballer of the Year in 1993. He played for the national team in Australia, as well as a few clubs in Australia, as well as in Malaysia and Singapore. Most notably, he captained Johor FA in 1998, where they won their first championship trophy. And our goal with the Football Academy is we really want to enrich the lives of football players and fans across multiple generations through DSA. We want to build a community that brings together people from diverse countries, faiths, socioeconomic backgrounds, and unite them all based on the shared values of our academy. And we always want to make sure that we share those values of work positivity and striving for progress with a passion for football. We're not just here to develop people to be the best players they can possibly be, but we want to make sure they take these values that they learn and apply them to all aspects of their life, no matter where the journey takes them. And it is a bittersweet story. My dad was a footballer who, when he retired from football, had a passion for coaching. He really enjoyed teaching the next generation more than anything. And towards the end of his career, he decided to start his own football academy called Jet Sports. And unfortunately, about 6 months into the academy's founding, he tragically passed away unexpectedly. The two head coaches, Coach Jerry and Coach Dawood, are people that I've known my entire life. In fact, Coach Dawood, our head coach, he coached me when I was 8 years old. So I have a lot of history with the both of them, and we decided to work together to keep the academy going and make sure that we did it in his name as well.
That's just wonderful, and I'm sure that your dad is looking down on you and feeling very proud that you have continued with his dream. And also it's great to hear that Coach Jerry and Coach Darwood are there right alongside of you, and with such experience and such a passion for what you guys do. It's marvelous. Really, really great to hear and very inspiring. Now, for the parents listening out there, you do a variety of age groups. And you start with the Cubs, which I believe are the little ones, 2 to 6 year olds. And then you go on to the kids, the DSA kids. Is that the Jets?
Yes, so we do have our Cubs. That's our youngest group. We recommend the age of 2 and up, but we have had kids as young as 1.5 years old train in that group. It's small size groups, so a maximum of 4 kids even before we had the restrictions of the pandemic. And it's purely focused on hand-eye coordination, having fun, and just exploring small aspects of football. Coach Jerry and Coach Darren have always said that it's the most rewarding session they've ever coached, but also the most challenging at the same time, because they've got a bunch of young kids running around everywhere and they're trying to control what the chaos can be caused sometimes. But they've sent me a bunch of videos and I've gone and watched the sessions myself, and it's absolutely fantastic. From there, we do have our kids, which is usually between the ages of 6 to 10 years old. Some of our kids are slightly younger if they're able to progress up an age group. Some are slightly older if they're not interested in, say, the competitive side of football, but are just there to have a kick around with a friend or just have some fun on the weekend or in the evening on a weekday. And from there, we do have our JETS program, which is for our kids 10 and above, but we do have some kids as young as 8 that participate in the JETS program. This is our competitive team. They play in bi-weekly competitions. They go for tournaments. We've even sent a team overseas to Kuala Lumpur as well as to Bangkok, Thailand before, where they've played in international competitions as well. And last but not least, we have our Breakers squad, which is for anybody that's 16 and above. The youngest player we had was a 15-year-old boy who didn't quite hit the age criteria, but he got parental permission to join us for our 18 and above session. And we also have people all the way into the late 40s and early 50s that come down for a kickabout once every few weeks.
Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic. And where are you based exactly? Where does the football take place? I know some takes place indoors and some place outdoors for the older ones. So if you'd like to share that with us.
So most of our trainings take place at the Premier Pitch in Turf City. The Premier Pitch has 2 different locations within Turf City. They're right next to each other. One is an indoor pitch facility. So it's just nets with a proper shelter. So rain or shine, the sessions can still go on. And then there is an outdoor facility, which is slightly larger. And that's where our adults or the 18 and above program, as well as our competitive kids mainly train for their sessions. We like training at the Premier Pitch, and we've been able to foster a healthy and close relationship with the owners of the pitch as well, especially because they do have that indoor facility, which is fantastic for kids who are coming down for a 9 a.m. class on Saturday, and they're on the younger side, it's like 6 and below or 7 and below, and that heat is a little bit too much. So we have the indoor facility there available, and we also use that indoor facility for the youngest group on Monday evenings to make sure rain or shine, they have a fun session they can go to.
Okay, and later on we'll be able to tell people where they can find this information. When the parents are signing up, especially the younger ones, are they a little bit concerned about cuts and scrapes and falling over and bumping? I'm sure that they have concerns about that if their child has never been exposed to joining a little session like this. Do you get lots of questions like that?
So when I first took over the academy, I thought that would be one of the primary concerns that parents would have. But the closest thing we've had to it is, are the shoes going to get worn out fast enough? Or are they going to get worn out too fast? Most parents aren't too afraid of the cuts and bruises and the bumps. And very rarely have we had anybody, get seriously hurt during the programs itself. The worst thing we've seen was one of our competitive boys in a competition had a sprained ankle during one of the games, which is part and parcel with any contact sport. But one thing that our coaches do focus on is making sure we follow all the safety regulations that FIFA have set aside before. A good example is that all of our kids that are age 14 and below do not participate in any heading drills. So we don't do any drills that have contact with between their head and the ball, be it stage, and it's discouraged in competitions as well for their age group too. In fact, in the age groups of 12 and younger, in certain competitions, they can even get yellow cards for using their head, which is something they're meant to be doing in football. So they do make sure that the kids are safe and following all the safety measures. And at the same time, they have to have the proper gear too. If a kid shows up for training without their shin pads, they might not even be allowed to train on that day day itself, because we want to make sure that they're safe while they're playing football.
That leads me very nicely into my next question. I'm thinking parents out there thinking, well, do I need to buy special shoes? Do I get a DSA shirt? How does all that work when they sign in?
For the youngest kids, ages 6 and below, all they would need is sporting attire and a pair of sports shoes. This could be tennis shoes, running shoes. If they have football boots or indoor football boots, that's fantastic, but not an absolute requirement for that age group. There is very minimal contact between themselves and the other kids. It's all fun and games and having fun with groups of friends. So nothing to be worried about there. When they do sign up for the academy, we also give them a training jersey as well. So that's something they can wear to future sessions. For the kids that are age 6 and above, they can still train in their sports shoes, especially if they've never played football before. One thing we encourage all the kids to do is just come down with whatever you have, try it out for yourself and see if you enjoy it first, because the last thing we want is for a kid to buy all the gear, sign up for a 12-week program, and come for the first session and find that's not the sport that they enjoy, or they just don't like the class or don't like the atmosphere, and then they don't really get the full enjoyment out of joining the academy. So we'd rather them come down, try it out, and then if they want to sign up, go and buy the gear that they need to train. And the gear that we recommend for all kids is to make sure they have a pair of football boots, something, as long as it's comfortable for the kids. It doesn't have to be flashy. Decathlon sells very cheap football boots that are functional and very comfortable, and a pair of shin pads. Those are the only two absolutely necessary things that they would need to buy. Everything else we provide to them, from socks to training jerseys.
Oh, that's great. And if Decathlon are listening, we are Lorna Whiston Schools and we are DSA Academy, and we've just given you a massive plug. So you know where to find us, and we're very happy to online shop and pick out whatever we would like. Just thought I'd mention that. That is wonderful, because a lot of parents will be thinking, oh, I need to buy this, I need to buy that. It's exactly the same in our classroom for speech and drama when there's a little show and tell coming up. Oh, do I need to buy a cloak? Do I need to buy a magic hat? No, we can provide all of this stuff. And also we encourage people to recycle stuff and make stuff at home for our classes. Now, in Lorna Whiston Schools, like your academy, we see lots of friendships being built, right? And I would imagine more so on the pitch in something like a team sport for football. Do you see lots of little friendships going on, or people developing friendships along the way?
Absolutely. It's to the point where we've actually had a game of telephone between some of our kids and their parents once, where we were starting our new season and we're asking the parents if they were going to continue in the same session. And they come back to us and say, oh, my son or my daughter only wants to train if this person's going to be training on that date as well. And that person then says, only if this other person's there, only if this other person. It comes into a full circle where they only want to be on the pitch if they're there together with their friends. And one thing that we have seen frequently, especially with anybody that's new to the sessions, is if they don't know anybody in the session itself, it does become a little bit difficult for them to gravitate towards the sport, because they're in a new environment with a new instructor, with people their age that they don't really know. So it takes some time for them to forge those friendships. And it's much easier when they come in and they already know somebody, or they join with a friend or two so that they can go and meet new friends together. But over time, even if they did join individually, they're able to make friends and foster friendships that I've seen grow from kids ages 8 to now they're in year 12, or they're 12 years old, and they are still friends with all of their friends from football, even if they've stopped playing in our academy and have moved on to other sports or moved on to other academies. That friendship circle still remains, and they're still friends today.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I will share something with you. When I moved to Singapore some time ago, I joined, because I'm Irish, I joined the Gaelic football team. And we used to train every Wednesday with Coach Hugo. And I met a friend there called Emer, and we have been friends ever since, for over 15 years now. And, you know, had I not gone and joined in that team sport, I would never have met her. So I've seen her, you know, go through her marriage, go through motherhood, and we're still friends today, helping and supporting each other in our jobs. So it's wonderful. that's why I think a team sport is very good for the kids from a really, really young age. I think it's very important. And the Ministry of Culture, Communication and Youth and Sport also are very, very much endorsing sports at the moment, not just speech and drama and English. They're all important, those academic subjects. But what they want to do is tie all of those in together, hence our working with you guys over there at Darren Stewart Academy. So our parents get the best of both worlds. They can think, oh, we'll do Darren Stewart Academy on Monday night or Saturday morning, and we can do Lorna the other time, because we give them also discounts and trials to get them going and support them along the way as you do your side. I think it's also wonderful that you have on your team two very, very experienced coaches who couldn't be with us today because they're out there working on the pitch and getting the kids going. And that's a big shout out to Jerry and Darwood. You're very much here with us as we speak. And, the parents will look forward to meeting you when they actually get over there to try out a lesson and everything like that. So what I need to know now is, what about timings? I'm guessing the timetable is quite, varied. And how long is each session for, like the Cubs, the Jets, the kids, and the older ones?
So our current timings for sessions and the time frame for sessions, it has varied slightly before the pandemic itself. So before the pandemic, we were running 1.5 hour long sessions for every age group except for our youngest group. We've only started bringing back the longer sessions, and we're trialing it with our adult group, the 18 and above group, where they are actually allowed to train in groups of 10 once again, as long as they go through the ART pre-event testing before the session itself. And slowly, as we hear more about the restrictions lifting, we're slowly starting to bring it back towards our other age groups. But for now, we're still only 1 hour sessions in groups of 5. We make sure that we maintain a safe distancing for all those sessions, for the safety of all the kids as well as their parents. But what we do have at the moment is, for our youngest group, for 2 years old till 5 years old, we have a session on Monday evenings from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then right after that, we have the session on Monday from 5 to 6, which is for our kids, usually age 6 to 10. On Wednesday and Friday from 5 to 6, we have a session for our competitive group. And on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., we have a session for all of the ages. So anybody, and that's the session where we have most of our kids signing up, where they come down to play football on the weekend. We have our competitive group training on Saturday mornings, and we do have the casual groups that are there for a kickabout and to have fun with their friends training as well.
Oh, okay. That's excellent. You make a contribution, or you ask some parents to make a voluntary contribution to a scholarship. I noted from all of your website and all of my reading. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So at Darren Stewart Academy, since we started the program, we have always made sure that every training group has at least 10% of the group that is fully sponsored by Darren Stewart Academy to play. This means these players do not pay for any fees. They don't pay for any tournament fees. They come down and train and have fun with their friends. And this really comes from one of the strong values that my dad, Darren Stewart, had. He really wanted to build a community that brings people together from diverse backgrounds and unite them on the shared value of teamwork, positivity, and striving for progress. And our objective with the scholarship fund is for at least 10% of players in each team to be playing on a scholarship without charge. All of the donations made by parents or external parties, and all sponsorship money that has been raised by DSA past to present, goes directly to this scholarship fund. So the caveat that I do have is it's not a charity or a separate organization. Darren Stewart Academy does manage that fund, but we use this 100% to sponsor all those players to play without charge. And these are kids who otherwise would not be able to afford to play football, be it in a club or be it to have a kickabout with their friends on a weekend. We have used this to help kids that have trained with us for long term and suddenly especially with the pandemic, have not been able to do so because of financial hardship. And we want to make sure that we continue to grow that community and support the people who otherwise would not have wanted, who would not have been able to be there, but wanted to be there.
Oh, that's excellent. That's congratulations for doing that. That's fantastic. Now, when parents drop off, can they drop off the children, especially the younger ones? Can they drop off and pick up? Is that the arrangement?
Absolutely. In fact, at the moment, that's the only way we can run our sessions.
Yeah.
Previously, parents were more than welcome to sit around and watch. Okay. However, we are respecting the venue's capacity limits with the changes due to the pandemic. Yeah. They can only have a certain amount of people on site. And if we have parents on site, that contributes towards the capacity limit. That means that they would not be able to otherwise open up other pitches for people who wanted to play football. So parents drop off their kids, our coaches will pick them up. And after the session, the coaches will wait around until every single kid has been picked up before they leave the pitch.
Oh, that's excellent. So we've got the Cubs are 2 to 6, the kids are 5 to 10, the Jets are 8 and above. All of those programs are open currently for booking. Do you open right throughout the year? Do you work on a Singapore MOE school calendar or the international schools, or do you just take public holidays? How does your calendar for the year work?
We loosely follow the international school calendars. And I say loosely because there are so many different calendars with international schools in Singapore. The best way for me to describe our terms is every quarter of the year, there will be 11 to 12 weeks of football training. And we try to base this around when the school terms are happening for majority of the schools in Singapore. But at the same time, we know that everyone's schedule doesn't quite match the schedule that we have for our terms. So when parents sign up, we make sure to let them know that if they have dates that they need to let us know they won't be able to make it because they're going on holidays or because the school term finishes slightly earlier or even slightly later, so they can't join as early as they'd like. We make sure to let them know that they're more than welcome to let us know, and we will prorate those dates for them so they don't have to worry about paying for dates where they won't be able to train.
Okay, that's excellent. Before I finish off, have you got any, or have I had students come who think, yeah, I'm the next David Beckham, I'm the next Ronaldo, who are super passionate about the game and have progressed from the Cubs right up? Is there anyone in the academy, that you've pinpointed who's got that extra talent?
Oh, absolutely. I have watched kids trained in our Jets program, and I've watched them play, and I'm not a great footballer. Coach Darwood says that I have 2 left feet. He's been telling me that since I was 8 years old. But I watch these kids play and go, if I was put into that session right now, there's no way I'd be able to hold my own against them. And recently we were able to collaborate with Tottenham Hotspurs. And we had 2 of our kids from Darren Stewart Academy who Coach Darwood and Coach Jerry identified as kids that represented our values the strongest and had the best passion for football. They were committed to all of their trainings and were attentive to the coaches. So selected 2 of our highest performing kids, and we sent them for a video call session in Singapore with the Tottenham Hotspurs players, where they were able to ask them questions and have a little bit of an FAQ with them live on the Zoom call. And that was fantastic to watch. The 2 kids were very excited for it.
I was going to say, what were the kids like when you told them, hey, we've selected you, you think you've got this talent? I mean, what were the parents like? Must have gone, my gosh.
Oh, it was funny because one of the kids' parents actually supported Tottenham Hotspur, so he sounded a little bit more excited than his kid did. And the other parent supported Liverpool. Was like, oh, that's not my club. I can't really let my kid do this, but his kid was absolutely excited. They were ecstatic. They couldn't believe it, and they also got to hang around with the footballers from the Lion City Sailors, the professional football team in Singapore. They were live at the event, talking to Tottenham Hotspurs as well. And the kids got to interact with those professional footballers live. So they really enjoyed that as well.
Okay. And do you support any particular team yourself, Matt? Football team?
I would say the team that I don't support any of the major clubs in England. I would say I never really watch the English Premier League, but I do have a team back home in Australia. I support the Newcastle Jets. It's where my parents were from. And I also support Johor FA, which was the team that my dad used to captain in Johor. So I still watch and follow their leagues and all their highlights from Malaysia.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, I'm going to leave the final word to you today to tell all our listeners why they should enroll their child at the Darren Stewart Academy. All of Lorna Whiston parents, of course, will be receiving information, a new update information about stuff that's coming up at the Academy. But for those out there who are a bit reluctant and think, oh, my boy, my girl has never tried football before, it might be a bit daunting for them. I will leave you to share the final words of why they should give it a go.
So I can go on a lot of tangents about the things that we do for kids and why it's great for them. And our coaches do a lot of things that are great for kids. They want to make sure these sessions are enjoyable, they're staying physically active, and make sure that we're teaching our values to the kids that they can learn on and off the pitch. But at the end of the day, it ultimately is up to the kids themselves. If they enjoy the program and it's something that they love to do and something they want to keep doing, that's who we want to sign up and join us to have a great time and experience. And football isn't for everyone. Kids like different sports. Some kids like video games. Some kids like arts. It's everybody is very different. Yeah. And one thing we do at the Academy is no matter who comes down for their first session, that is always free of charge. We want the kids to come down, try the session out for themselves, and then we want them to go back, talk with their parents to see if it's something they want to continue doing. And our coaches always give feedback from that first session as well to make sure we can let the parents know which sessions would be a good fit if they enjoy those sessions and what we recommend for them to sign up for. And at the end of the day, if the parents are still skeptical, they're more than welcome to come and try it out as well. Yeah. We have football sessions for adults. Both of our head coaches, Coach Jerry and Coach Starwood, lead those sessions as well. It's a modified session from what we do with the kids. It's slightly more fitness focused for the older groups. We have a lot of parents that join us for those sessions, and it's very funny because they get to then interact with the coaches the same way the kids have before, and they start to relate a little bit with their kids, what they go through during the regular session. So come and try it out for yourself. You're more than welcome to come and join us.
Well, parents, you've heard it for yourself. If you want to hook up with the Darren Stewart Academy, do look out for your emails from Lorna Whiston Schools and pop down there and, have a go. And maybe Lorna Whiston Schools teachers and back office team and marketing, we should make up our own football team and get down there and get them training us as well. So thank you all so much for joining us today. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed hosting it. And thank you to Matt. Do send us any questions you might have or share with us any encouraging stories that you might have about your child in football or your child in speech and drama or English here at Lorna Whiston School. We hope that if you do join up, your child will benefit from being in a team sport right there at Darren Stewart Academy right here in Singapore. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much for having me.